see the top chat. Wow, this is a whole new ball game, man. It's pulled up on the side here. Wow. Oh, this is different. This isn't. I don't know which one's live though. This one to the right or this one to. I think we might be live streaming on two different applications. That's different. I'm gonna have to find the chat now because I was hoping the top chat would be over here on the right. Is anybody in the chat? Yeah, I see a couple of thumbs up and stuff, but awesome. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We're talking about the rights, I mean, this when the courts ruled that medical marijuana card holders can't buy a firearm, I think they're taking away a Second Amendment right. And the correlation between that, you know what I mean? Like they haven't committed a felony. I understand there's the legal there's that legal problem with states approving it and federal not approving it. You know what I mean? So there's that dilemma there. But you had the Fourth and Ninth Circuit Supreme Courts who fought over this, and their reasoning was just unjustified in my opinion. Now, if the 420 community would have got on board and pushed this, I think it wouldn't. I still find the causation, because causation is a big word in legal terms, because they're using the causation between offenders who are imprisoned currently, or past tense, and their drug use, because marijuana is still considered a drug. You know what I mean? Alcohol is a drug. Tobacco is a drug. So let's say next thing they want to push for is to take away our freedom of speech, our First Amendment, because we are drug users if you use tobacco or alcohol. Because if you get caught selling it without a license, there you go. You know what I mean? That's why there's the ATF, alcohol, tobacco, firearms. I mean, they've shut down poor little communities out, even out in California. There's some other ones who sell whole milk, unpasteurized. That's right. That's can you imagine? It's crazy. I have to find the live chat here. I was hoping I see Margie Yeemans. Or Manji Yeomans. She says, "Hi there, different view." Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when the court ruled 3-0 on that Wednesday that they would ban the preventing medical marijuana card holders from purchasing firearms, they said it was not in violation of the Second Amendment. And the Associated Press, the Washington Post, everybody, basically wrote about this or said something about it. But most people didn't hear about it, didn't see about it, or didn't understand it. And then there are the 9 Western states under the appeals court's jurisdiction, including Nevada, where the case originated. It's pretty crazy. Now, I know a lot of people, I'm waiting for somebody to say, oh, it's Trump, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about something that happened in 2016. You know what I mean? I'm waiting for people to be like, oh, no. You know what I mean? But yeah, but a lawsuit was filed in 2011 by the Nevada resident S. Roland Wilson after she tried to purchase a gun for self-defense and was denied based on a federal ban on the sale of firearms to users of illegal drugs. Though marijuana has not been legalized in some places on a state-by-state basis, it remains illegal under federal law. The courts Yeah, yeah, I'm getting to that. Okay. The court mandated that drug use raises the risk of irrational and unpredictable behavior with which gun should not be associated. Now, with all that said, Wilson claimed that she doesn't actually use marijuana. She simply obtained the card to show her support for its legalization. The appeals courts agreed with the guidelines from the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives that firearm sellers should assume that medical marijuana card holders use the drug, even though she clearly said she didn't. Chaz Rainey, the attorney representing Wilson, said that he plans to appeal the decision. We live in a world where having a medical marijuana card is enough to say you don't get a gun, but you're on a no-fly list. Your constitutional rights is still protected. He told the AP, if you guys don't know what the AP is, I'll explain what that is. He argued that there should be more consistency in how the Second Amendment is applied. I have to agree with that. Alex Criet, the marijuana law expert at San Diego Thomas Jefferson School of Law, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him, um, expects that the ruling won't be the last we see of the issue. He told the AP that ruling may be challenged by people who use medical marijuana, who will argue that they shouldn't be lumped into other drug users in terms of concerns about violence. Right. Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think, I mean, when it comes to the defense, I mean, the Second Amendment should not be impaired under any circumstance. Basically, I think that once you start taking away people's rights, and we're slowly degrading our whole Constitution and our amendments and the Bill of Constitution. I mean, everything's just kind of degraded over the years. They just kind of picked it apart. And with that said, I'll say this: if the First Amendment applies to radio and TV and the internet, and the Fourth Amendment covers electronic wiretapping and video surveillance, how can the Second Amendment only apply to 18th century firearms technology? You know what I mean? I'm not being fooled by what they're trying to accomplish with those things. Yeah, I mean, and I know some people may be like, oh, this may be new to some people who's heard this, but this debate has been going on since 2016. Technity Beats, welcome. 57 Red Rooster, welcome. Drive Shaft Drew, you're always welcome. Big Gaz, you're always welcome too, guys. All you guys, everybody in the chat, welcome, welcome. That's where I'm at with it. I want to find out how the 420, how as a drug user, if it's considered a drug in your opinion, because I mean there's there's a time when alcohol was banned in this country. You know what I mean? And before the turn of the century, marijuana was the most prescribed drug for pain. They gave it to women for childbirth. I look at it under the demographic analysis as far as, if you're holding a medical marijuana card, then why are they discriminating against you, right? Let's call it discrimination because, I mean, whether it's race, age, sexual, gender, orientation, geographic area, or religious affiliation, it's still discrimination. You're taking somebody's right away because of something. Mm, right, 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 exactly. I think Big God's made some points there. He says constitutions are being trotted all over the world. The people are the only ones who can change that. If they don't, then it will get worse. I have to agree. Technity, yeah, Technity Beats brought up some important Some important points there. Papa Texas, he's in the house. Hey, Papa. Papa, you're welcome to join this chat. You're already in the hangout if you can find it. You're welcome to come up on board. If you go back and you really research some of the some of the reasons why marijuana is actually legal, I mean, it doesn't really have to do with any of the fundamental Christians that had to do with over powerful politicians, and just owning that majority of of the political landslide. Let's just call that a land or landscape. But I mean, if you go back to even like the lumber mills in the United States, they were at risk for losing that paper business due to hemp growers. Because I mean, hemp's the strongest natural fiber known to man. We were talking about the THC in marijuana. Which side is what's sterile, what's going to get you high. I mean, there's two different things there. I don't think in any circumstances anybody's rights should be taken away unless you've been convicted of a felony. Now, I understand if you fill out a federal form to buy a gun from a certified registered gun shop or whatever, you have to check whether or not you do illegal drugs. You know what I mean? And at that point, you're committing a crime. Now, is it a felony? You haven't been convicted yet. When you take someone's rights away before they've been convicted of the crime, now we're talking, guilty until proven innocent. That changes. Yeah. Well, I mean, theoretically, I mean, across the world, that it's happened throughout time. When they take the guns, we have no way to fight back. Period. Well, I don't know too many weed smokers who are fighters. You know what I mean? Right. Mm, right. There, yeah, there is a recreational use and there is a medical use for sure. But I think that to limit both of those people, to lose an amendment, to lose a right, a right to defend themselves. You know what I mean? If think about if you're a smart criminal, you go to a marijuana dispensary in one of those states and you follow those people home because you know that they can't defend themselves with a gun. Who are you going to rob? Someone who has a gun or someone who doesn't have it? Now that they can't defend themselves. Well, it's still it's unregulated. I mean, they're getting the taxes now that those states that it's happening in. The federal they're seeing the states are definitely seeing benefits. We're talking about financial benefits for it. Exactly. Right. Businesses, and they're not allowed to put their money into a bank. If you have a dispensary or you are a grower, the funds that you receive, you're not allowed to put into a bank. So you have to house the money yourself in some way, some shape or force or fashion. Because if you put it into a bank, it can be seized at any time because once again, it's still under federal law, it's illegal. Right. Totally agree. You know, this the video is kind of inspired by Granny Monster. She made a video the other day, explaining the 420 community and something I already knew about the Waldos and stuff because you know that's uh, I think if somebody wants to smoke a cigarette, they can do it legally. Should they lose any rights for it? No. If somebody wants to drink and do it responsibly, should they lose any rights for it? No. If they want to do a drug which is not what I would consider on harming themselves compared to some of the other drugs that are out there. I mean, even a prescription drug. More people are addicted to prescription drugs than marijuana. You know what I mean? Right. I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that. Yeah. Yes. I have to agree because that they can't make a cigarette any more addictive than it is. There's so many chemicals in a cigarette from the whole manufacturing process to actually. Yes. Yeah. Can you imagine if you get convicted of a DUI that you can no longer have your Second Amendment right. You can never buy a firearm. Right. Yeah. Right. Or a public intoxication. Maybe you get one of those tickets. Right. Because if you give that inch, they're going to take a mile. No questions. I find it amazing how much we actually let them get away with it because they're not transparent like they should be. They group all these bills together. Hmm. Yes. Right. Right. Yes. Yes. Mm. Right. Even our First Amendment, right? Yeah. Yeah. I think it's time for the feds to remove the cannabis from a Class A narcotics list. It's a waste of natural resources. I mean, think of all the people who are imprisoned right now for just that. Right. Well, I agree with that, but I think there's more dangerous drugs such as like meth and opiates that are out there, and even with right, Tax stamp, the same thing they used to do with cigarettes. Mhm, mhm. Right, right. Well, I think here's the underlying thing. When I say that, how they can regulate it with like a tax stamp, it's the wrapper that it's in. We're talking about like a cigarette paper that would be have a basically a label on it. We're talking about it's like a cigarette with a filter. You know what I mean? Marlboro has a warehouse that I've seen full of marijuana cigarettes. And the crazy thing is, no offense to my Canadian brothers that are here, visiting this live stream, but all of the medical marijuana that's grown for the United States is all grown in Canada. So it's taking jobs away from Americans. You know what I mean? They could actually be growing it here instead of shipping it across, country from country to country. That's I don't know. I wouldn't even get into that part of it. That's crazy. I'm more offended by the point that they think it's okay to take an amendment from someone who hasn't committed a crime, has not a felony crime. Right. Mm. Always, always. Hmm. Hmm. Yes, I have to agree, but there's a point that some people are missing. Do you remember the old saying, "Shall not be infringed"? Those rights shall not be infringed. Right. Yeah. Did you hear what I said earlier? The statement that I made? Okay. That's okay. I think if the research was done per drug, depending on the drug that's there, I think that I think that would have more of effect as far as what causation. If you go back to considering cigarettes, considering liquor, also in these drugs and marijuana, and let's get into the opiates, let's get into the heroin, let's get into all those things that let's break them all down and see how many deaths, how many overdoses, how many suicides have been caused by each one of these things. Because I see people in suits selling poisons and paying politicians to vote their way. You know what I mean? Let's change that. Let's see a legal death causation drug that that gets banned. You know what I mean? That a company can't push to make $1, and then 2 years later, there's a class action lawsuit about that particular one. You're right. Yeah, I think when there's that bribery, let's just call it what it is. When you're giving contributions to the to get your way, I think there's a point where in this country as Americans, I think we need to look at it as treason. You know what I mean? Like if you're taking a bribe that's going to hurt people in the long run, you're committing treason if you're not upholding it correctly. If you're not doing it right. Yes. Well, I have to preface that, but I'll let Momo go first. Right. Correct. Correct. When you're a legal representative, whether you're a state actor, let's call them Congress, whatever, police officer, whatever position you're in, at that point you've made an oath, a declaration of oath to protect it. And when you go against it, then you are committing treason at that point. But unfortunately, most of those people don't understand it because they didn't study the law part of it. They're on the other side of it. Yeah, I know, unfortunately. Yeah, I knew that. I was aware. I didn't. That's why I was saying earlier. I was like, how did that happen? I was checking it out. I was like, wow, I got two going at the same time. I was telling Melmo, I was like, I guess there is now. I don't know, man. That's weird. Are you familiar with the term CBD? Yes. Right. 'Cause I remember. Yeah. You want to explain it? Yes. Yeah. Mhm. Right. That's okay. Right. All of our founding fathers grew marijuana for the war effort because, like I said earlier, it's the strongest natural fiber known to man. Period. The fact that we don't use the hemp for, I mean, there's been arguments about whether the constitution, because there's like seven of the original constitutions. I've seen them. I've seen some of them in person in in Philadelphia. They have one on display at their Independence Hall. But some debate whether it's on hemp paper, parchment, or if the oil was used was hemp, because Ben Franklin, who's buried right there beside Independence Hall, his grave's right there, right down the street, right on the corner, basically. Seen his grave. He had a hemp paper plant there at one time. We're talking something that's old. I mean, hemp or marijuana grows everywhere on this planet except for one place, and that's the South Pole. That's it. It grows everywhere else naturally, and it can. There's not too many. There's not too many plants that can actually do that either. Under the religious, since the United States decided to step away from the separation between church and state, if it's your religious belief that you should smoke, right? Now they've infringed upon your rights there also. You follow where I'm going with that? Right. Mhm. But no, I mean it's just a matter of preference. I mean anything can be considered a how should we word it? A legal conscious I mean, you can be all right. Let's go back to the objector. Let's go back to legal a conscientious objector. All right. So let's say you have a medical marijuana card. You're from one of those states where it's legal. You're 18 years of old. You are you're basically what is that called? The where you don't enlist, but it's the registration. What's it called? Selective service. You're registered with selective service. You're 18 years of old. Now, let's say a war breaks out. No, it don't have to be World War III, just a war or whatever, and you're drafted or you go into the military. At this point, can you say, hey, look, I'm a medical marijuana card holder. I can't hold a firearm, guys. I object. You can't draft me for the war because I smoke marijuana. What happens at that point? Can these states, Colorado, yeah. Well, I mean, even Walt Disney was one. I think so. There was a guy in the 90s called Reverend Greenbud, and he used to send a Bible with an actual joint in it to all of his followers. Uh, there's a different religion for everyone. you know. Yeah, you're right. I've heard that one. Yeah, right, right. Well, let me throw this out there too. I can't see but one of the chats, and I thank everybody for being here in the chat. Both of them, since I don't know, somehow I got two live streams going at the same time, which is crazy and very cool. But let's throw out this. You know how medical records work? Are you from? Okay, so medical records are closed due to the HIPAA law. So if anyone is denied the right to buy a firearm because said customer holds an MMJ card, that's a medical marijuana card, then that is against the law and won't hold up in court. The only way they can deny you is if they have a criminal record. That said, you have to abuse the card, that you've been given legally by the state. I find the privacy and health records also in violation of what they tried to pass. And this, now, if you're new to this conversation, guys, we're talking about 2016. Hello, June Gall, Papa Texas, big guys, free to be me, Barbie, dark matter. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What I spoke of earlier about infringing on the rights to keep and bear arms, that right should not be infringed in any way. And I and I would love to see more transparency in our government when they go to write these laws and pass these laws. I think the simple is you having a camera on you, they should be filming what they're doing, and there should be the White House has a YouTube channel. You know what I mean? When they go to legislate us, they're supposed to be representing us. I would like to see more transparency. I don't see a U.S. Congress YouTube page. I don't see a U.S. Senate YouTube channel. I shouldn't say page, but either or. I think there needs to be a point where people can go, wait, whoa, 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 what are you guys trying to pass here? And then because they'll throw it into another law, and next thing you know, There goes some liberties. There goes some securities out the window. You know what I mean? Mhm. Right. Mhm. That's wild. I may have to close one of these. I think I'm gonna try to close this one and open the other one. Maybe I'm not sure. I want to see if they can hear you in this one. Minuteman Homestead's here. Stream since you can't hear Mel. Okay. I suggest y'all go to the other stream since can't hear Mel and the other guy here. Okay. I don't know. I don't know which one to end. That is weird. Like I told you earlier, I was like, what is going on with YouTube? Because it opened two. I've never had that happen before. I've never seen anybody ever live stream two live streams at the same time. I mean, heck, I might as well pull my phone up and do a third just to hold a record. You know what I mean? Really? That is no, no. You're still alive. You're still alive. Tell you what, let me go end this other one. And I'm going to come back to this one, guys. Whatever one, I'm going to end this stream because it's just this is I don't know. It's confusing for me. I can't see both chats. I can only see one chat, and I can see myself. Okay, guys, if you'll join me over there, I would appreciate it. Thanks. Mel, you still here, buddy? Right?